So I think as America, our problem, everybody's complaining about fuel prices, high fuel prices, right? So I think that a solution would be giving more tax cuts to these big fuel companies, but making them liable for it, as in like, okay, we're gonna give you tax cuts, but you have to pass those tax cuts to the middle class, to everybody who's buying fuel. So I think if we give them tax cuts, they're gonna, if we make them pass it down to the people are gonna, be able to buy more gas. Therefore, they're not gonna lose money because they're still getting money back. Because people are gonna be buying more gas. Then people who switch to bikes and alternative ways of transportation are not gonna start driving their own cars again. So they're not losing. So I don't see why they wouldn't do it. And then the people, they're gonna get cheaper gas fuel. So that's a better for the people. And since people are going to be doing more stuff, coming out more, buying more gas, more gas and everything, every time they make a sale, America gets taxes from it. So it'll improve the American economy as well. So once you weigh everything out, neither of the three parties lose anything. Nor the gas companies, nor the people, nor the government. Because all in all, it's like, if you give them more for less, they're going to get more and more and more. So ultimately, nobody loses, so I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Companies like ExxonMobil, I believe it was last year, when they're making record profits, when Americans are hurting at the pump, when they're paying higher gas prices, and they're making record profits, what we should do is enforce them to make gas prices lower and not giving them a tax break simultaneously, because that would only benefit them. It's like they're not losing out on anything. So we should just mandate them to lower gas prices, but not give them tax benefits when they're raking in record profits while we're hurting. Like ExxonMobil, I believe it was last year, when they're making record profits, when Americans are hurting at the pump, when they're paying higher gas prices, and they're making record profits, what we should do is enforce them to make gas prices lower and not giving them a tax break simultaneously, because that would only benefit them. It's like they're not losing out on anything. So we should just mandate them to lower gas prices, but not give them tax benefits when they're raking in record profits while we're hurting. That's not right.
Well, the fuel industry is a business, and you can't just tell a business, okay, you're gonna give money. No, it doesn't work like that. If you're gonna do something with a business, you better have an even exchange, because it's not fair. Even though they are making billions or trillions, whatever they're making, millions a year, that's okay. That's their profit. So we as Americans don't have a right to cut into their profits, because they worked hard to get there as well. So how are you gonna just say, well, just because you're making more, now you have to help us and we're not gonna tax you? That's just not right.
Because the oil companies run a monopoly. There's such a small number of oil companies that they all work together, and they're the ones who decide how much we pay. So if the government intervenes and forces them to lower the prices of gas, and that would be great.
Well, no,
because the average American is losing out against that.
Because basic economy doesn't work like that. You have to give a little, take a little. You tell them, we'll give you tax breaks, and you'll lower your prices because we're giving tax breaks. You can't just tell them, well, we're gonna cut into your profit. You just can't do that. It's like doing the same to a small business. They're going up there too. Why wouldn't you do it to them? If you're going to do it to big companies. After all, it is an owner who worked hard to get there.
It's still different, because the government won't be gaining the same amount of tax revenue from the oil companies. So if you suggest that we cut their taxes, the government is losing out on money, and then you're saying you said to mandate them. Or you're basically,
it's a fair exchange. It's a fair exchange. I give you a little, you give them a little. So it's a fair exchange. Why would they say no to it? They're not losing nothing, and you said the government will be losing. Actually, no, because there'll be more people buying gas from the pump, so they're getting tax money from there. There's people that are actually going to be willing to travel. So you travel, you spend. That's just the way it works.
How do you suggest that we mandate oil companies to lower the prices at the pump?
Well, you can't mandate it. You're not giving them anything. That's what I'm saying. You give them a tax break, and in return, you ask for that little, you give them a tax cut.
So we're going to ask them politely and hope that they do?
No, it's not asking politely. It's called simple trade. It's business. I give you something, you give them something. It's practically how business works.
That sounds like a mandate.
How? You're giving them something. You're giving them a tax break.
Why should they be given tax breaks when they're gaining record profits while people are hurting?
Why shouldn't they? It's a business. If you had a business, would you like people to cut into your profit just because they felt like it and you were making big?
Because it's a monopoly.
Hey, what up? Why should we like tax cut them when we can tax them and use that tax money that we're getting from them because they're making all kinds of trillions? We can benefit from that and use that so we can support every family and give them free healthcare, just like in France, Great Britain, and half the European nation.
And you would get that by taxing somebody who's just on a better level than you. So you mean all their work hard, all their
I know it sounds like communism,
but how? So you're telling me that all their hard work should go down the gutters? Like, okay, now that you make more because you worked harder for it, now you're getting taxed more?
Do you know where that money comes from?
Hard work.
That doesn't come from hard work.
Well, obviously they have the money to buy a fuel company. Obviously they have to work somewhere to get that money.
You know where the hard work comes from?
Where?
It comes from the people in Saudi Arabia who are American people who get paid dirt to go out and oil refine. Hey, in Texas, you get paid dirt and get their fingers cut off, and then they can't get them re-sewn back on because it's $350 for every single finger to get sewn back on. With that kind of money, all that tax cuts, you know what? Tax them more, we get free healthcare. It's free for your mind.
So why are you going to depend on the better man? Well, isn't it that Americans should depend for themselves? And back to the whole like hard work, hard labor, whatever. Well, think about it. They're getting their paycheck. So they really value that paycheck that high, then that's gonna be goal.
But it's dirt. They're poor. They're living in a country that they don't want to live in, and they're getting paid dirt.
They're still getting paid for what they're doing.
But it's dirt.
It's called the job.
Would you rather get your fingers cut off, or would you rather get paid?
Well, actually, according to you're gonna get paid and get your fingers cut off, right? I mean, the way I see, if you're gonna work and there's dangers in your work, well, you probably should choose a better work site.
This is for Mr. Wood and Mr. Burns and CNN. That policy that you're talking about, that's the same policy that Bush had these last 8 years.
It's called trickle down theory.
Yeah, it hasn't worked.
Yeah, I understand. Like,
Oh, that same policy trickle down, that's the same thing Bush had. Because it hasn't worked.
because it hasn't been implemented correctly. See, there's the trickle down theory, but yet the companies are not being forced by like, it's not fair exchange. It's more like, we'll give you a tax break in hopes that you do something for the people. Nah, I'm talking about you manage to make it real business. You know, I'm gonna give you this, you give them this. Straight up.
So what's
they decide not to give the people a tax cut, well then you don't give them nothing either. And you get the money back from the company.
So what's the difference between what you're saying now and what Bush thing?
That it will be in a sense a contract where they would have to help the middle class, not help the middle class, help everybody who buys fuel. Because see, it'll be like, we'll give you tax break, but that tax break you're just gonna pass it down to the people. See, where now it's kind of like you're giving them tax breaks in hopes that it puts an effect on the price of the people.
It sounds like you just want the government to pay for people's gas or something. So they
No. See,
no, it sounds just like a pay tax cuts, gas companies.
No use.
So they will like give money. So they'll like reduce the gas price. So it sounds like government will just pay for the gas for the people. So why not to give a tax break for the middle class? So as American government do. You give people money so they can afford it.
alright.
And you tax and give them more tax to the company. So you'll take money from them and give it to middle class so they can afford it.
Alright, you brought up the issue about giving tax breaks to middle class, right?
Yeah.
Well, my idea is if you give tax breaks to the middle class, most of the middle class, I'm not saying all of them, but most of them have bills to pay, which would mean that all the money they're going to receive, they're going to end up paying bills, credit cards, which ends up back in the rich man's pocket. Whereas if you give them the cut, but force them to pass it down, the cuts down, it's not going to end up in the rich man's pocket because there will be taxes that have to pay. So ultimately it's going to end up in the American government pocket.
Yeah, talking about the main issue between like difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans want to make tax cuts on rich people.
Because it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense because.
Mr. Woodstock, need to come get a quick 8 questions for the weekend.
Okay, alternative fuels, how about that?
I say no on all of them.
What I liked about this event is the spontaneous things that happen, guys. Thank you for participating. The last stage for Mr. Wood's class is the self-reflection. I'll see that on Monday. You guys have a great weekend. The idea is that you take this stuff with you. Your solutions need to be heard. Thanks.